Every morning, before you leave your house, you put on a mask. Not the kind that covers your face, something far more insidious. The social mask that convinces others you are what you pretend to be. But here's the question that will haunt you. Are you really anything without it? You think you know yourself. You believe that beneath all the roles you play, the professional, the friend, the lover, there exists some authentic core. But here's the question that will haunt you. What if I told you that everything you think of as you is just another performance? Another carefully crafted illusion designed to survive in a world that punishes authenticity. This isn't about being fake. This is about something far more disturbing. You are never truly yourself because the self you present is always filtered, edited, and performed. And the most terrifying part? You've been doing it for so long that you've forgotten where the mask ends and you begin. Carl Jung understood something that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. He called it the persona, the social mask you wear to function in society, not just to fit in, but to survive. Because raw, unfiltered humanity is dangerous. It threatens the order. It disturbs the peace. It exposes uncomfortable truths. Think about it. When you walk into a job interview, do you present your authentic self? The person who doubts, who feels lost, who sometimes lies awake at 3 a.m. wondering if any of this matters? Of course not. You present the persona, polished, confident, ready to contribute. Because authenticity doesn't pay bills. The persona is necessary. It's the price of civilization. But here's where it becomes sinister. Over time, this mask doesn't just hide your face. It begins to reshape it. You wear the mask of competence so long that you forget you're incompetent in most things. You perform happiness so consistently that you lose touch with your actual emotional landscape. Jung saw this clearly. The persona can become a prison. You start believing your own performance. You mistake the role for reality. And then something devastating happens. You begin to defend the mask as if it were your life, because in a sense, it has become your life. Do you even remember who you are without your mask? Or has the mask become your face? When you're alone, truly alone, do you still perform? Do you still maintain the narrative? Because if you do, then you've achieved something both remarkable and tragic. You've successfully lied to yourself. But everything you repress while wearing that mask doesn't simply vanish. It accumulates, it festers. Jung called this the shadow, the repository of everything you cannot afford to be in public. Every authentic impulse you've swallowed, every truth you've buried, every aspect of yourself that doesn't fit the image. The overly polite person who never shows anger? That rage doesn't disappear. It leaks out in passive-aggressive comments, in sudden explosions over trivial matters, in a general resentment that poisons relationships. The perfect person who maintains an image of having it all together? That insecurity doesn't vanish. It manifests as comparison, as judgment, as a desperate need to control how others perceive them. Your shadow knows you're performing. It watches from the darkness as you play your roles, growing stronger with each act of self-betrayal. And it's patient, because it knows that eventually the mask will slip. Eventually the performance will crack. And when it does, all that repressed authenticity will come pouring out. This is why so many people fear solitude. Not because they're lonely, but because in silence, without an audience, the mask becomes optional. And what might emerge from beneath it? What have you been hiding, even from yourself? The mask keeps you safe in society, but it keeps you at war with yourself. Every day becomes a battle between who you are and who you pretend to be. Every interaction becomes a performance, where the stakes are acceptance versus authenticity. And most people choose acceptance every time. What would happen if your shadow ripped the mask away? Would you still recognize the face in the mirror? Or would you discover that you've been a stranger to yourself all along? Niccolò Machiavelli understood something that Jung only hinted at. Masks are not just self-protection, they are weapons. In The Prince, he wrote about the necessity of appearing virtuous while being prepared to act otherwise. The mask of humility that conceals ambition. The mask of friendship that hides calculation. The mask of weakness that lures enemies into complacency. Power, real power, belongs to those who control their mask rather than being consumed by it. They choose which face to wear in each situation, not out of insecurity, but out of strategy. They understand that authenticity is a luxury that leaders cannot always afford. But here's the trap that most people fall into. They let society dictate which mask they must wear. They surrender the choice. The culture, the job, the family, the peer group. Everyone has expectations about who you should be. And if you're weak, if you lack the will to choose, they will choose for you. This is how you become enslaved without chains. When others control your persona, they control you. When your mask is imposed rather than selected, you become a puppet dancing to invisible strings. Your emotions, your reactions, your very sense of self become subject to external manipulation. Machiavelli would say, if you don't choose your mask, someone else will choose it for you, and then they own you. The mask becomes not your tool, but your master, and you spend your life serving an image that was never truly yours to begin with. Friedrich Nietzsche looked at all these masks, social, moral, religious, and felt nauseated. Not because he was against all masks, but because he saw how they had become prisons, how they had turned human beings into sheep, following predetermined scripts, living borrowed lives. His will to power is fundamentally the courage to shatter imposed identities, to look at the mask society insists you wear and ask, who decided this? Who wrote these rules? Who determined that I must be this rather than that? The Übermensch, his vision of evolved humanity, creates new values precisely because he has the strength to burn the masks that society forces upon him. But understand the cost. When you begin to reject imposed personas, when you start tearing away the comfortable lies, the world turns against you. Because your authenticity exposes their performance. Your freedom highlights their chains. Your courage makes their cowardice unbearable. Nietzsche lived this. He was called mad, dangerous, immoral. Why? Because he refused to wear the masks that his culture demanded. He chose loneliness over conformity, truth over acceptance, authentic power over borrowed roles. The path of removing imposed masks is not just difficult, it's agonizing. You will lose friends who only knew your persona. You will be rejected by institutions that depend on your compliance. You will face the abyss of having to create yourself from scratch, without templates, without guarantees. Most people would rather suffocate behind their mask than risk the air of freedom. Which are you? Are you willing to endure the discomfort of not knowing who you are beneath all the performances? Are you prepared for the loneliness that comes when you stop playing the games that others expect? But Alan Watts, drawing from Eastern wisdom, offers a different perspective that might save your sanity. What if the entire struggle between authenticity and performance is based on a false premise? What if the question itself, who am I really, is the wrong question? Watts points out that life itself is a play, a cosmic drama where consciousness explores itself through infinite roles. Your masks aren't just deception, they're costumes in this grand performance. The businessman, the lover, the rebel, the saint, all are characters that the universe plays through you. Here's the paradox that will break your mind. Take off one mask and you find another mask beneath it. Peel away the social persona and you discover the authentic self. But strip away the authentic self and you find the spiritual seeker. Remove the seeker and there's the observer. Remove the observer and what remains? Perhaps there is no final face. Perhaps identity itself is just masks all the way down. Not because you're fake, but because the very concept of a fixed essential self is an illusion. You are not a person wearing masks. You are the capacity for mask wearing itself. This doesn't mean anything goes. This doesn't mean authenticity is meaningless. It means something far more liberating. You can play your roles consciously, like an actor who knows he's acting. You can wear your masks without being imprisoned by them, because you understand that you were never the mask to begin with. The liberation is not in escaping all masks. It's in realizing that the one who wears the masks is itself beyond all masks. You can perform without losing yourself, because there was no fixed self to lose in the first place. So here you are, at the end of this uncomfortable journey, face to face with a truth that most people spend their lives avoiding. Your mask is inevitable, but you must decide, do you wear it or does it wear you? This isn't about destroying all personas and becoming some kind of social outcast. It's about consciousness. It's about choice. It's about remembering that you are the one choosing which face to show the world, not the victim of circumstances forcing you into predetermined roles. Start simply. Notice when you're performing. Catch yourself in the act of being who you think others want you to be. Ask yourself, is this mask serving me or am I serving it? When you're alone, experiment with dropping the performance. See what emerges when no one is watching. Keep a journal. Write without filters. Let the shadow speak. Dialogue with the parts of yourself you've been hiding. Not to become them, but to integrate them. Not to eliminate the mask, but to choose it consciously. The tragedy is not wearing a mask. The tragedy is forgetting there's a face underneath. And perhaps, if you dig deep enough, you'll discover something even more profound. That the face beneath the mask is itself just another mask, worn by something so vast and mysterious that can play any role without being limited by any role. You are not your mask, but you are also not anything else that can be named or defined. You are the space in which all masks appear and disappear. You are the consciousness that can choose which character to play in this cosmic drama. And that, perhaps, is the only freedom that matters.